Right, it's Project Natter, a podcast about religion, politics, and money, all the stuff we shouldn't talk about. Joining me this evening is Nick Smith, and we're going to be touching on the left going too far with the kids. So, Nick, how are you doing? All right?
Yeah, not too bad, David, mate. Thanks for inviting me back on. I'm excited to talk about this subject. I think it needs to be spoke about. So brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've well, what's your opinion? Do you think the left have gone too far? So we've seen over, the last decade or or two, they've been going after the nuclear family unit, breaking down our society, going after everyone and anyone that doesn't conform to their formula. And now we're seeing them going after kids. We've seen paedophiles being referred to as MAPs, minor attracted persons. We've got drag queen. I forgot the story times where you see these videos, Nick, with these drag queens, twerking in women's lingerie in front of kids and stuff. And I think it's way too far, and I think it's going to blow back in their face. So that being said, what do you make of it all?
It will blow back in their face because of people like me and you and others that are in the right mind to know that this isn't acceptable and we can't allow it to progress. So yeah, you're right. There's so much of this agenda, trans in children being pushed in schools. More and more I'm seeing, David. And as you've touched, as we spoke about earlier, I've seen you tweet about the doll, the female young doll with a penis on it, which if you remember back in January, I was at a skip yard and we had a skip coming from a house clearance. And this was back in January, and I took pictures of it. I tweeted about it and put it on Facebook.
I remember,
It was a little girl with long brown or black hair with a cardigan on and nothing else, with the penis exposed. And
so it was a girl doll with a penis.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll say that again to make a little girl doll with long hair.
I've got to laugh, mate, because it's just messed up.
No, brilliant. I'm so glad you have laughed, because when I come across it with other work colleagues, we laughed.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, we laughed about it, and then I come to the realization, well, actually, we shouldn't be laughing about this, because this is real, this is serious, and it's dangerous. It's now why are the doll companies and manufacturers putting this out, promoting it, pushing it onto dolls that are only for little children? So it's a scary time we're living in, and what's their agenda? It's being pushed massively. But as I say, I'm so glad you laughed about it, because when I first see the doll, the little girl doll with the long hair with the cardigan, and then see the penis, I laughed my head off, and so did the other work colleagues. But I soon realised, actually, within a few minutes, actually, no, I shouldn't be laughing about this, because this is dangerous and scary and national and worldwide. It's just crazy.
It's a war of the minds at the moment, Nick, isn't it? And I think this is the problem we're having now. So it's getting all this stuff rammed down our throat, left, right, and centre. And for me, you can be whoever you want to be. I don't really care, man. Like I've said before, on the show, you could identify as a starfish. I really don't give a fuck. Just don't ask me to call you a starfish. Just that's it. I don't care who you are, what you get up to, but you start ramming this ideology down people's throats, there's going to be backlash. And now they've gone too far. Now they've gone after kids, and they're pushing this down, pushing this agenda down kids' throats. And I've seen videos online of drag queens that have bought kids' dresses and stuff like that. And you got these little 5-year-old boys, going floating around as drag queens and stuff. And more concerning for me is what's the purpose? I saw a protest in Brighton a few months ago, and they were saying that the reason it was educational. But what's educational about a geezer in stocking suspenders and a short dress twerking in front of little kids? That's just sick, and anyone who thinks differently needs to have their head tested. You need a check up from the neck up. quite frankly.
100% they do. Now, you've said class as educational. I've heard it being classed as progressive. I'm not sure who or why they come to that conclusion that it's educational or progressive. I think it's sick and perverted. Now, you've got the rise at a rapid pace around the country and around the world. Well, I can't say that far, actually, not around the world, but especially in Western countries, especially in places like America, where drag queen acts in Texas, you've seen the videos on the parades where they're dressed up, and it here and around in America where they're dressed up in have you seen it? They're dressed up in like a vagina suit with a cock, and they're wrapping the cock into the vagina. You've got the drag queen with the willy swinging it around, and what comes out is water, which obviously represents something else, in front of young children on the sidelines. So yeah, no, you're right. It's we've allowed it to get to this far without really suppressing it, and that's how it's progressed and blew up. But now, like you say, we've got this in schools, we've got this in primary schools, we've got this in libraries, such as Reading, which is a stone throw away from me. I'm from Slough. Reading, they had the library with a drag queen act in front of young children, young, impressionable children. So you made a good point earlier, and I want to touch on that, and I've said about it many times. Why would you want to, as a man, dress up as a woman in provocative, sexualized lingerie clothing, specifically around young, small children? I don't get it.
Yeah. So, what's the purpose?
What is the purpose? What is the agenda? Why? And now we can go down the route of why the man in the dress wants to specifically perform around young children, but we must ask ourselves why the parents allow this and actively encourage it, because some parents might not have been aware that this happened in their schools, and then when they were aware, they were against it. But where it's been advertised and issued in libraries, such as Reading, other places around the country, other places around the world, and the parents actively choose to go out with their young, impressionable children and see these acts, I then think, why do the drag acts do it, and why do the parents allow them to see it? I'm so confused. I've not got children myself, but I'm just so confused of why you would want this. Why you would want to take your young, impressionable children to see this act and this provocative, sexualized. Because, like you say, they twerk in front of them, they dance in front of them in a sexualized manner. I've seen videos where the little children in America put money and they're like strippers. I've seen it all, and it's disgusting. It's wrong. I'm so confused.
And I think, as we just said, well, at the start of this, so they've over the last couple of decades, they've gone after the nuclear family unit. So they've gone after, well, mostly white males, is what they've been going after. And then they went after the females with the trans movement, and now we've got men now competing in women's sports and stuff, and you've got women that have been training all their lives to be athletes, and then they come up against someone who's biologically 5-10 times stronger than what they are, and they don't stand a chance. And then if they speak out, they get called transphobic. And now we got as I said, paedophiles being called referred to as MAPs, minor attracted persons. Anyone who uses that term, I clearly would say they're a paedophile. There's no two ways about it.
I come across the term MAP just a couple of months ago, David, right? Minor attracted person, as you said. Now that's just trying to justify a sexual. Look, let's not beat around the bush.
Don't beat around the bush.
A sexual predatory feelings and actions. When you say MAP, I say nonce. When you say MAP, I say paedophile. When you say MAP, I say fucking wrong'un. So we can't try and justify it with some little, half-ass, some half-ass term, MAP, some acronym, and then think that it's okay. But it's so worrying how many people around the world go, well, yeah, you know, you do get people that are attracted to minor people, and it's not this, it's not that. They're just part of the MAP community, and this, that, and the other. There's no justifying it with no term. They're nonsense paedophiles and dirty wrong'uns. I know that, you know that, and everybody with a sensible mind knows that. And we need to...
and that's the thing. They're going after the mind, Nick. So I think that's why they're trying to prime the kids into thinking it's normalization. They're trying to normalize paedophiles from what they're doing. You know, there's no such thing as, you know, maps. You know, they're paedophiles, and it's as simple as that. They're sexual predators. They're wrong-uns. And I think what's going to come on top for them is, you know, you've got, you know, people from certain backgrounds, you know, minorities in the country, that they won't adhere to this. So they're going to come full circle, and they're going to get stung in the arse. Excuse the terminology, but you've got, but you know, for example, you've got the Muslim population in America. I've seen recently videos and stuff of them going into schools, and they're like, "You ain't teaching our kids this shit. It ain't happening."
Do you know what?
And it happened here with in Birmingham. There was a school there.
Batley, was it? Was it Batley Grammar School?
Yeah, something similar happened there. You know, they won't put up with it. So it's going to come full circle on them and bite them in the backside. You know, do you see that teacher in Canada? So there's a geezer who's gone in to I think it was a secondary school, and he's gone in with prosthetic, fake tits, like bloody double Z's down by his kneecaps. Around. I mean, what's that about? What is that about? How is he allowed to teach like that? That is, you know, that's how big it's gone. What happened to professionalism? You know, that's you know, a slight distraction, you might say, but also very sickening and concerning. You know, there's one thing, you know, you might feel that you're a woman, but then some of these, like, they take it too far. They take it to the extreme because they know they can say, "Oh, you're transphobic," and shut people down. So they push the boundaries and push the boundaries and push the boundaries, you know, and then every time they you know, there's a complaint, they step back, but then they push the boundaries, and before you know it, it's we are where we are now, where, you know, men are called women.
Well, do you know, look, you mentioned about Canada with that certain teacher. That is just peak madness, beyond parody, beyond satire.
It's hilarious though, isn't it? It's madness.
Well, that's it. This is the, we laugh, and we should laugh because it is madness, because it's out of the ordinary. You know, when you laugh because it's out of the ordinary and it's so funny and so fetched, but this is so real and so invented, and on a course to get even worse. So we can laugh, and then we need to stop and then take action. But you mentioned about the Muslim community with incidents like Batley Grammar School. There was other incidents, and it's only really time that I've ever really sided with the Muslim community on such an issue, and because they're quite rightly so to go down there and say that they don't want their young, impressionable, small children taught about sexualized actions and taught about how they might be in the wrong body, taught that they might be trans and all these other issues that children shouldn't even be exposed to, nowhere near that age. So, you know, but it's just got to that point now. You know, it wasn't it a Labour MP years ago that said the age of consent should be lowered to 14, and in some circumstances 10. Now, I've never really researched into her mindset and logic.
She wrote a book on it. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yes.
I believe she mentioned in the book. Yeah.
I need to look more into it, but I need to see why what was her logic into wanting the age of consent to 14, and specifically why she wanted the age of consent to 10 in certain circumstances. It is very bizarre, but that's not an isolated incident, David.
No, it's not. No.
Around the world, I've heard of high figureheads, experts, scientists, politicians who have come up with the same. Just recently,
there was a Spanish MP. I forget her name now, but she was saying the same thing, saying that the age should be lowered, and children should have sex wherever they want to have sex with, and blah blah blah. So they're really trying to normalise it. It's quite worrying.
That's the one I was going to mention and try and find out earlier. I'm glad you brought it up, actually. where you just said that Spanish, and he said that children know from an early age whether they're sexually advanced, and they know from a certain age, a young age, who they are physically attracted to. What world are we living in? It's like a script out of a dirty, disgusting, Nazi film that I'm reading, but it's not. It's real, and it's real people with real education.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm living in a Black Mirror episode.
And real influence. Yeah, you do, don't you? And it's scary, it's wrong, it's vile. But it's, in my opinion, it's in 2022 in the Western world, it's never been more needed to keep the innocence of small young children protected. Never been so much as it is now. However, it seems that we're going the total opposite way, where we're just exploiting and just letting and just slowly calling it progression, madness.
Well, this is it. Now, so I was saying that's why I want to talk about, because I've seen so much stuff online, on Twitter and stuff like that, and I think now they've gone too far. There's parents coming out screaming. Like I said, first of all, they went after the males, then the females, and now they're going after the kids, and they. But that's gone too far, and I see even people that are on the left, and my political views and their views would never align in a million years. But even they're saying, no, this is going too far. I've seen online. So there are a lot of people also on the left that don't agree with it. But it is coming from the left. But I think it has come back and really bite them in the backside. They've gone way too far.
Yeah, good. And like I say, it has predominantly come from the left. It's just that's not just one target. It's a choice of not left and right wing. It's a choice of right and wrong.
Yeah.
Which we need to agree on. I can be right wing, but talk to someone who's a left wing side of politics, and I'm sure, and I hope, and I have done before with left wing people from politics, agreed that this is madness, it's vile, it's gone too far, it's disgusting. You've got books, David, that I tweeted about a few months ago, aimed for 4 to 10-year-olds. And these books are aimed for 4 to 10-year-olds. Now they talk about the boy and the girl, how she rubs his leg, he gets aroused.
I've seen it, yeah.
So you know what I'm on about.
Yeah.
And the woman who wrote the book went on to a news channel, I don't know what it was, GB News, Sky News, whatever it was, and she still defended it. She still defended that the book aimed at minors, 4 to 10-year-olds, where they're talking about how the boy got aroused and the girl done this and this and that. Disgusting nonsense shit. And you're still defending it. We must question the mentality. We must question the agenda and where it's going to lead to.
Well, clearly she's a paedophile, and there's no doubt in my mind she's a paedophile. And the problem we have, Nick, is that this is allowed to flourish over the years, and get us to the point where we are today. And that being said, we're supposed to have a conservative government. We know they're not conservative.
Hey, repeat that again, just because I need a laugh. Need a laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
What we meant to have, a conservative? What?
Yeah, conservative government. Don't know what exactly they're conserving, but yeah. But anyway, we're supposed to have a conservative government, but there isn't any MP that I've seen thus far from the Conservative Party standing up in Parliament saying enough is enough. I've had enough. This is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. And trying to push some laws into place to stop this from happening, because that's what needs to happen. There needs to be a safety net where we say, you get on with your madness, but this is the line. They've crossed the line. They've gone too far now. But this is the line. A line needs to be drawn in the sand, and we need to say, this is it. You overstep the mark, and you'll be arrested. You'll be breaking the law, yeah. And whether, regardless, it's a sexual act or, just merely suggesting
the line to it.
Yeah. Just they cross the line to get nicked for it. It's as simple as that, because it's sickening, and it's quite worrying what's going through, as you said, what's going through their minds, but also how they're now hacking the brains of the younger generation. So then that generation comes through and thinks this is normal, because they've normalized paedophilia, they've normalized men being in women's sports, they've normalized, men, to be the enemy. So it's quite worrying. The future's quite worrying.
But you're quite right. It's worrying, it's dangerous, it's scary. Now, there's two reasons why MPs, politicians, celebrities, high figureheads haven't come out and really gone against this and really spoke out about this. Two reasons, David. One, they must sympathise with them.
Mm-hmm.
Get that straight out there. Second reason is it's not popular. It's not popular with what their constituents or what they think their constituents want. It's not popular with what they think is liberal and progressive. It's not popular with them issues. So there's two reasons. They're either sympathise with these dirty nonsense.
Yeah.
And listen, make no mistake, I there's probably a lot of them that do, right?
Yeah.
Judges, teachers, politicians. Or the other reason is they're just too scared to really talk out about it.
Yeah.
They think that their voters and constituents and the liberal progressive people won't agree with them. Now, you spoke about children. The best thing to do to educate a person is to hit them when they're young, when they're impressionable.
Yeah.
We spoke before. There's 24 hours in a day. 8 hours you sleep, 8 hours at school. That leaves 8 hours at home with your parents, but you don't do 8 hours home with your parents because you eat, you have a bath, watch TV, go out, pay your mates. So you're spending more time with your teachers and authoritarian figures than your parents and influential friends. Yep. So there's a big advantage for teachers and school generals to push their agenda onto these young, impressionable children. And like I said, that's where we're at. That's exactly where we're at. And sorry, briefly, you mentioned earlier about the terms. Here we go. We're going to go for the terms again. It's not racist. It's not sexist. We're on about a different subject now. So now we're transphobic. Or what I've been called before is a small thinker. Yeah. I'm a small thinker, David.
Close-minded.
Small-minded, small thinker, because I don't want drag queen acts performing specifically to young children in a sexualized manner with sexualized clothing with their own sexualized agenda. Now, just look on how many people, sorry, Dave, just look how many people, how many drag queen acts have been caught with dirty, pornographic images of young children on their phones and laptops.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how many drag queen acts over the last few years have been charged and arrested with common assault and sexual assault and on children. So,
and even some of these drag queen acts at the moment, I've seen people obviously concerned, and there's people who have done investigations on these people. And I've seen one recently outside, one of these places. They were trying to stop it from happening, and the police turned up. And there was a guy there who does investigations, like paedophile investigations, and he said this guy that's in there at the moment, this is a profile printed off from his social media, and here he is messaging an underage boy saying the things that he would do to him if he met him in a gay club, blah 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 blah. And this has happened. So this is something that this guy, this drag queen, actually wrote, and this guy who was there presented this evidence to the police and said, look, don't you find this concerning? This guy shouldn't be in there, blah, blah. And the police just ignored it. They just didn't buy it. They were just like, oh, well, and didn't really want to do nothing. And that's another thing as well. We know our police force, they're an absolute joke as well. They're a bunch of tools. They're just pawn pieces for the lefties, aren't they, really? It's quite sickening and concerning when the police won't even do anything either.
The people that you should rely on and can rely on aren't doing the job they should be doing. Now, again, we go back to the MPs. Why aren't the MPs doing what they should do and saying what they should do? Either for two reasons. They either sympathise with them because they like it now with it, or they're scared because of this. So same with the police. They either sympathise with nonsense and not doing much about it, or they're getting orders from above.
Orders from above, yeah. Which is probably what's happening, Nick. Yeah, they're probably getting orders from above, like they have been with like Extinction Rebellion and these will protesters and all that. They're super gluing themselves to the road, blocking motorways, and the police are saying, "Are you okay? Can we get you anything?" Yeah, what you can do is you can get them up off their fucking arse and throw them in the van and nick them, you stupid cow. The old bill with this whole country is just it's gone down the pan, mate, isn't it? I really do feel like I'm living in a Black Mirror episode.
Mate, it's crazy, but you're not the only one. We're in the same boat, and you're right. I know we digress onto Just Stop Oil, Insulate Britain, Extinction Rebellion. But time and time and time again, we are seeing blatant and clear two-tier policing.
Yeah.
Now, I'll test you on something, right? Me and you, we're going to go and watch a football game, right? Any football stadium you want to go and see, lower league, major league, I don't care. After we leave that football stadium, we're going to throw ourselves in front of a road, blocking the highway and public road.
Mm.
We're not going to have no signs saying just stop oil. We're not going to look like fucking idiots like most of them do. We're going to be there in the middle of the road after we left the football stadium with our football shirts on, and we'll see what the difference in
You'd be
policing
dragged straight away, Nick. You'd be in the back of a van, mate, within a blink of an eye. No problem.
and some, a few little
yeah.
digs on the way. I've been there and done it.
Yeah.
So blatant two-tier policing.
But it's not just about two-tier policing system. It's actually they're allowing it because it goes along with their agenda. So if you look at, okay, so when I first started getting involved with politics was with Brexit. So we had huge Brexit marches. They were ignored. The BBC would say a few hundred people turn up. Like many of these anti-vax protests, we see hundreds of thousands of people turn up, and we get told, oh, there's X amount, a few hundred people there. They don't film the protest. They don't show people protesting. But these they do. These are being aired. These watermelons are being aired. They're getting the airtime because they want they're pushing their agenda. The government want this. Yeah. They're going for this green agenda. We know that. So that's why they're on the news. That's why they're letting them sit there blocking the road, because then they get the publicity they need.
Yeah. But it's just wrong. I know we're still on to the subject, but it's just wrong on so many sides. Just going back onto the Just Stop Oil blockades, they said just the other week that they got a red light policy, meaning if they encounter an ambulance, they let them go through. That wasn't the case.
Yeah, we've seen it time and time again. Yeah,
they're just scumbags. But going back onto obviously the main topic, you got people that are against what's happening, like me and you, that are protesting against the drag queen acts. In particular, I can name Jolene Bunting, who protested about the drag queen acts, and she's facing prison. She's facing prison for protesting.
I'd love to get her on, actually, and have a chat with her. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'll talk to her after, and we'll get it sorted. But
yeah,
she done what we would all do, and what I would do if I next know there's something going on in Reading Library, just a stone throw away from me. I'm going to go. I'm going to protest and air my views about it.
Because the only thing I'm worried about, sorry to stop you, Nick. The only thing I'm worried about with this is like you were saying, like normal people like me. So, but the trouble is, when you pull a man's tongue out, then the only alternative then to express themselves, it leads to violence, and I think that's what they're looking for, is the trouble, so they can say, extreme right attack, blah 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 blah, and when actually it's just concerned parents that just had enough of the crap. But that's what I think they're trying to do. They're trying to provoke people to get a reaction.
They can do that, but it's not like we've done this over a day or a week or a month. This has been happening for ages.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's got slowly but surely worse and worse and worse and worse. And if we sit back, the pattern will, just judging by the pattern, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
We either sit back and let it get. You haven't got kids, David?
Not that I know of.
I like that answer. But no, listen, we haven't got kids, but here we are shouting from the rooftop, shouting from our lungs and going blue in the face and doing as much as we can to prevent this. Because this is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
We can't have progressing and doing this. And I don't give a fuck about these terms, transphobic, small minder, small thinker. You can say whatever you want. You're not shutting me down.
Yeah, that's just what the left do. They do it with every, people voted Brexit and referred to as Nazis. That's what they do. They just try to dehumanize people by calling them these names.
Shut down the argument.
But anyway, that's enough. That's what we've got time for, actually, because it's about to run out. But guys who are watching, please leave some comments below. Let us know what you think of what Nick's been saying, what I've been saying. Do you agree? Do you think the left have gone too far now? Now they're going after the children. And is there anything that can be done? Please leave your comments below and let us know what you think. Nick, thanks again for your time. Really appreciate you coming on.
Mate, always an honor.
Again,
always an honor.
Absolute champion, mate. And I'll catch up with you soon.